Well, so I'm going to record. So welcome everybody. Good to see you. Got a nice crowd going from our 6-week class that we finished, about a month ago. And so I like to do these 7th sessions, these kind of booster sessions that kind of keep it going. And I think I also told you about, I still do a monthly webinar as well as a refresher. And I know some of you reached out to me and I put you on the invite, but if you wanted to be on that, that's the second Wednesday of the month. So it's tomorrow actually at 12:30 to 1:15. And I'm happy to send you that invite as well and let those go forward every month. So, and of course, we have our phone meditations and things like that, which I'll show you later on as we go through this. So let's do a quick silent pause, as we often do, just to get started. You do see the presenter mode. Okay, thank you. Wonder why it does that. Get out of that for a sec. Come in again. Do you see the main slide or do you see the presenter mode as well?
Still that mode, yeah.
What was that? Just the main slide?
No, presenter mode.
Wonder why it's doing that. Not sure why that's happening. Well, anyway, so I'll get out of that. We'll just do it this way. Okay, so let's just start with a quick pause. So just take a moment to settle your body, settle your mind, and let's just be silent for a minute or so. And as we do this, and when I stop talking, just kind of notice what's present. Just be aware of what's in your awareness. You might even just ask yourself the question, what am I aware of? So I'll be silent for a moment as we do this pause. You may notice thoughts, feelings, body sensations, sounds, whatever is present in your awareness, just notice. And then bring your attention to your breath and use your breath to kind of anchor yourself in the present moment. Feel this one breath right now. And then the next one. You might feel your body in the chair, your feet on the floor, and also is a good anchor for us. You might feel the breath and the body together. And when you're ready, if you have your eyes closed, you can open them, and that's just a quick pause to try to bring us to now, like letting go of what you've been doing this morning. So that's kind of the trick of it, right? So let me just ask, how is it going? And you can either, you're welcome to speak up, or if you'd rather use the chat, that's fine too. How's it going in your home practice? It's been about a month since our last class. Have you been able to get some regular practice in, formal and or informal? And how is that working for you? Anyone? Remember, it's kind of this balance between doing the formal practices of sitting, whatever kind of meditation. There's a number of ones that we're trying now, and I'm going to give you a taste of a few more today, kind of what I call advanced meditations, but they're really not advanced, but they're just different than what I presented in the class. All right, so not had much success with continued practice. All right, so you're here. That's good. You're continuing today, and that's part of the message. So if you've not had much success with practice, what's getting in the way? Is it just finding it difficult to remind yourself to do the practices, or find the time, or find a good time in a good place? Here's a good suggestion. I have a placeholder in my calendar for at least 15 minutes for meditation. Yeah, that is really, I think, excellent and a great way to, any kind of placeholder, any kind of reminder. I still even need to do that. I have a pretty regular practice at a regular time. But what I'm trying to do is remind myself at different times during the day. So I've set a reminder from the apps that I use. Healthy Minds and Insight Timer both have ways to send a reminder to your phone. And I do a quick little reminder just on the phone alarm. Or the reminder section of your smartphone. They can send yourself reminders. And then it comes up in my notifications. And it just reminds me to be aware. Struggle with the routine, but I use the tools in the moment, which I didn't do before. So good. So that's progressed as well. Try not to make it a struggle, a big struggle. Try to make it a discovery of a way that you can begin to make it a little bit more of a routine, a little bit more of a habit. Other priorities keep coming up. Yes, they certainly do. They will never stop. Life will keep on throwing us all those other priorities. And that's, really the trick is how do we find ways to make this a priority? I might have used this analogy before, but Richie Davidson, one of the big meditation mindfulness researchers, talks about, for thousands of years, humans did not brush their teeth. It's only been probably the last, whatever it's been, I don't really know, but for thousands of years as hunter-gatherers, humans did not brush their teeth. Now we brush our teeth. Here's another way to think about it. 100 years ago, if you saw somebody running, you would probably think somebody was chasing them. Jogging wasn't a thing. Or 100 years ago, if you saw somebody on a stationary bike, like in a spin class, you'd think, what the heck, they're on a bike, but they're not going anywhere. Those are all examples of things, self-care practices that have become part of our routine that we prioritize. So what can you do to prioritize this in your life? Connect meditation to another activity. That's a great way. Associate it with something else. You don't always get it in, or like today, I cut it out short by 1.5. Okay, so, but even if you do a little bit of it and you associate it with something else, or right before or right after you make that cup of coffee, or, whatever it is, have your lunch or whatever it might be, something that you can associate it with. Try to take a moment while sitting in the car. Yeah, I know a lot of people who do that in those transition moments, getting into the car before you take off or getting to where you're going, taking a moment. And that's all it takes. It might be an informal moment, but still taking a moment that adds to it and gives you a mindful moment. Morning manifesting meditation daily. Insight Timer app is great. Yes, I agree completely. So good. So it sounds like you've got a regular time in the morning, and that's often what people need to do. I too struggle with routine, but when I can meditate quietly sitting on couch, usually when I'm finished with work. Okay. And if that's the time that works for you, then no problem with that. Absolutely. But you might also try to stretch a little bit, and maybe there's a different time during work, and see if it makes a difference in your awareness during work. Another difficulty with priority. I love your parallels. Thank you. Yeah, those are, if we just, that's really what it's all about, is making it a priority, trying to figure out how to do that and to get it into a regular practice, like we do with brushing our teeth or any of those other number of self-care activities. All right, so this, as I mentioned, continue with a formal practice if you can. They really go hand in hand. A formal practice along with an informal practice can make a huge difference as a balanced way. The formal practice will give you really quality meditation time. You'll learn about resting your mind and your body. You'll learn about the connections. I'm going to give you a bunch of things to think about that we covered in class, but to remind you about, touching on all these, and then those informal practices. And I'm going to remind you of some of those as well. I know mindfulness at work is a challenge. It's hard for me too. But again, see if you can find ways to find even just 2 or 3 minutes between meetings or tasks, or those normal break times or transition times. Those are perfect times to do a little bit of a practice. And the idea is that we find this peaceful, blissful state of mind, that we're able to tap into it. And that's really the key. So that when we do these practices on a regular basis and we make it a habit, when we really have a stressful time, or when life really throws a difficult curveball at us, we are able to tap into a peaceful state of mind, to be able to step back, kind of like that eye of the hurricane idea. I think I did that with you at one point. Get into the eye of the hurricane, but the practice really makes it work. The more you do it, the more you're able to get into that space and that place. Pauses are always good. As I mentioned, these are informal ways, just conscious deep breathing. 3 breaths for a pause we did, just as a reminder. That's breathe in, feel the breath itself. You can do this while I'm talking. So breathe in, feel the breath itself, a nice deep breath. Just really get in touch with the inflow and the outflow. Breathe in again, deep, feel the body. What does the body need? Check in, just do a quick scan. And then for the 3rd breath, breathe in nice and deep, and remember to be kind to yourself and to take care of yourself and to do some things. Quick, easy pause, right? Hand washing, Purelling, any of those kinds of things are things that we do every day. So this might be your associated activity. Every time you wash your hands, take a mindful 3 breaths, or just really feel the activity of washing your hands and the sensations of doing that. Pick one thing maybe that you do on a regular basis that you could easily link a meditation practice to. The savor is one that I mentioned before, and it's just when something pleasant happens, to really get into it, just immerse yourself in it, marinate in it. Just be there, let it sink in. Don't just move on quickly, but let it sink in. And this last link here is really cute. They call it Pep Talk Hotline. It was created by a group of elementary school kids, and there's an actual number, that phone number there, you can call. And the link is to it's an NPR broadcast that explains what it is. So check that out. It's so cute. They give you several different choices, with kids giving advice about, handling a stressful moment or taking a breather. It's great. So check that out as well. But anything like that that can give you a sense of a smile in your day, or a little bit of a, kind of a piece of joy, if you will. And we're going to actually talk a little bit more about that today. And this is the week of gratitude. So let me say thank you to all of you. I really, really appreciate you signing up for the class and being here. In fact, I think this might even be in conflict with the gratitude seminar that was being offered. So I apologize for that. I didn't know that was going to happen. But gratitude can really help us, can really help us be more focused on the positive. Gratitude is strongly linked with happiness and well-being. And these are just simple little pauses. So just trying one of these, focusing on something positive in the same way that the savor exercise does. Scanning the body and noticing what's good about your body. Usually we notice what we're unhappy about, or what is kind of aching or discomfort, or that couple of pounds we gained, or whatever it was. It's so easy to do that, to focus on that, right? Just comes up naturally. So it takes a little bit of an intention to focus on what's working well with your body. What do you appreciate about your body? And there's so many things when you just think about it, even just the simple little things of being able to listen and hear and to move and to taste. And there's so many things to be grateful for with our body. And of course, who are you grateful for? There may be some people in your lives that you might want to reach out and pay it forward and let them know why you're grateful to them. So quick gratitude pauses are also good. And these, again, are just reminders about the everyday mindfulness. So remember the stop. Stop is the stop when you're feeling stressed or overwhelmed. That's the S. T, take a deep mindful breath. O, observe. And it's really more of an internal observing. So observe thoughts, feelings, and body sensations in the moment. Just be aware of them. You don't have to fix anything, just notice them. And then the P is to proceed. Real quick, easy exercise. And then there's all the routine activities that we do. Again, lots of opportunities really to bring mindful awareness to all these different things. So we may not be doing these now, maybe, falling out of that practice. So try to commit to doing some of these things again. I wax and wane myself on some of these, but these are some of the things that really keep me going. So see if you can come up with several things. A lot of people talk about getting out into nature and walking, and I'll mention that too in a second, but those are great routine activities. Eating, bringing mindfulness to our eating can help us really appreciate and taste and sense the meal more than before. There's a couple of links here. When I send the slides out, you'll get all the links. A mindful chocolate exercise, a mindful raisin exercise. So try one or both, okay? So try to do those. And this is one that's always stayed with me, mindful walking. Mindful walking, again, can be done in a room. You can just walk back and forth. That's the traditional classic exercise, slowing our walk down, paying attention to the movement, the lifting and placing of each foot, the contact that your feet make. And when we get distracted and when our mind pulls us into all those thoughts of what we need to get done or whatever they are, come back to the feeling and the sense of walking. So, and also the thing about walking is when we're walking or driving for that matter, we're going somewhere. We usually have on our minds what we've got to do when we get there. We're, thinking about all those things. These are great opportunities to just be in the present moment with the activity. And it's just a good way to integrate it into your daily life. As well as stretching. I know you've seen this slide before as well, but stretching or gentle yoga, again, this has become a mainstay of my practice. I don't do formal yoga, but I do some stretching every morning, and this is to me, this is what I link a mindful meditation with. And that's how I really get it done. So stretching in the morning for me just helps me kind of get my body moving and be a little looser. And then I listen to a meditation from one of the apps. And that's how I link it. So, but it could be, just stretching as we go through the day. We get tight, we're hunched over the computer, we're, using our bodies in ways that are kind of stressful. So take some time to just use that movement. That counts as a mindfulness practice. And one of the biggest things, and this is one of the things that Tara Brach mentions, that an attitude of self-kindness is one of the strongest predictors towards someone being able to maintain a mindfulness practice. Because what often happens is we get down on ourselves. It's like any other wellness activity when you think about it. When we're not doing it, we get down on ourselves, or we feel that we're not doing it good enough or in the right way. Look, folks, if you're doing it at all, you're doing it just perfectly, just the way it's meant to be for you in that moment. So don't worry about doing it correctly. Be more concerned with being kind to yourself and then saying to yourself, okay, well, it was a really busy week, whatever it was. And so today I'm going to start something new. And each moment is a fresh new moment to restart your practice. And all these attitudes, so self-kindness, I think, is the biggest. Patience, acceptance, non-judging, these are all going to be helpful as we go through. So the attitudes really do help. And as a reminder, this is a link to Jon Kabat-Zinn, and he goes over there's 9 different attitudes that I've listed here. And so you might check that out if you need a refresher on some of that. Beginner's mind is another good one that I always try to kind of bring up again in my own practice, because it's simply the idea of bringing a new, fresh way of looking at something to any activity. It could be anything, right? It could be pulling weeds up in the garden once we get, into spring. It could be going on a nature walk and viewing the bushes and the trees, and even at this time of year before the leaves are out, just viewing all that in a new, different way with a beginner's mind. You can bring that to any activity. So that's really kind of a key attitude to bring to your practice as well. So this here, this ties into the gratefulness and the week of gratitude, I think. Happiness isn't about getting what you want all the time. It's about loving what you have and being grateful for it. And the video, if you want to watch it, it's longer than, I think it's about a 20-minute video. But even if you just watch the 4 minutes there, from 2 minutes, 31 seconds to 6 minutes, 23 seconds, Tara talks about that we often feel happy in moments that are because of something. In other words, we feel happy because we've had a really delicious meal, or we're with somebody, we had a good laugh, or with our grandchild who's making us smile and giving that sense of joy. So often there's that sense of happiness being contingent upon something, right? But she goes on to talk about there's another level of happiness that has to do with being happiness or being in a state of contentment or joy for no reason at all. It's not tied to something. And I think this is where some of our ongoing practice can lead us. And so what I'd like to do now is get into the first meditation. I'm going to try to fit in 2 today. So this one is actually from the app 10% Happier. It's called Joy for Any Mood, and it's by Sebene Selassie. And she just talks about, we all want more joy in our lives, and there's a slight difference between joy and happiness. And she says that according to Zen instructor Charlotte Jacobak, joy is exactly what is happening in the moment, minus our opinion. Think about that. So she goes on to say, our capacity to appreciate the good in any moment without pushing away or denying what might be unpleasant. Rather than trying to get elsewhere in our practice, we learn to bring a sense of well-being to wherever we are, and then joy arises naturally. So in the meditation, you'll see how this plays out. So let's try it together. So sit in a position that you're probably very familiar with by now, just any position that's comfortable for you, that you can remain still for the next, I think this will probably take 7-8 minutes or so. Finding that position, adjusting your body in a way that can be balanced between being relaxed, but also attentive and alert. And you might close your eyes if you're okay with that. And again, the choice is always, if you want to keep them slightly open, kind of keep your gaze downward and unfocused so that you can turn inward. And just simply gather our awareness by allowing the mind to settle, by focusing on the breath and the body. Let's start with the body. Let's start with being aware of our body in the position we're in. Maybe bringing our awareness down to our feet and feeling the feet on the ground. Being aware of our body in the chair, anchoring us, and the chair supporting us, the weight of our body. Maybe noticing the hands. Hands are an area where we feel sensations, just being aware of how the hands feel. If you notice any areas of tension, of obvious tension, just let that area soften and relax. And then amidst all this in the body, notice the body breathing. And feel your breath gently flowing in and out. Staying with the breath for a full cycle of in-breath and out-breath. And at any time during this meditation, you can use your breath or the body as a way to reconnect to the moment. Now remember, mindfulness is paying attention to the present moment on purpose and without judgment. So we're going to learn how to pay attention to the joy that's possible in any moment, not just to what our default habits have us paying attention to, so that we cultivate new ways of paying attention. So how do you feel in this moment? Just notice. How do you feel? We're not trying to change or fix anything. We're just observing. How does the body feel? What do you notice in the mind? How about with your mood or your emotions? As we check in, remember, we're not trying to solve or fix anything. We're just bringing curiosity to what's happening. It's another one of those attitudes, just being curious. about our present moment awareness, even if it's unpleasant or uncomfortable. See if you can stay curious. Whether it's an unpleasant sensation or thought or feeling, simply notice it. Our formal meditation practice is an opportunity to cultivate a different relationship to our experience, one of ease and well-being in relation to whatever is happening. Joy helps us do this by developing the capacity to appreciate the good in any moment without pushing away or denying what might be unpleasant. The breath can help us with cultivating more ease with difficulties. Taking a deep breath in and out, relaxing the body, can bring a sense of ease to the moment. So simply breathe in and out through the nose. Now that we've practiced not pushing away what's happening, we're going to actively cultivate some joy. Bring a smile to your face without strain. Perhaps think of a child or a pet or an image that naturally makes you smile. Or you can simply fake it. Your brain doesn't really know the difference. The act of smiling activates neural messaging that relaxes the body, lowers your blood pressure, encourages happiness. You can even try smiling big or small. So take a moment to notice what that does for your experience. Notice if there are any changes if you smile big, any changes in your thoughts, feelings, or body sensations. Now take a little time to notice what's happening for you internally. See if you can let things be just as they are. What might the joy of that feel like? And as we begin to come to an end of the meditation, check in again with your breath and your body. Re-anchor yourself. And how are you feeling in this moment? There's nothing wrong with moving towards or away from things, but a lot of the time we reactively grasp what we like and push away what we don't. We're constantly trying to fix or solve what doesn't need fixing or solving. Our meditation practice can be a training ground for recognizing that every moment can be one of joy if we simply allow our experience without opinion, without contention, this moment, just as it is. Now open your eyes if you've had them closed and take a moment to reconnect with your surroundings. And I'll open it up for any comments. Feel free to speak up if you'd like, or use the chat. Just Give me a little bit of feedback of what that was like for you. It was called Joy for Any Mood by Sebene Selassie. A little different, right? And we're going to do one before we close too that'll also be a little different, where we kind of go into what's called more flexible awareness. But this is one that we learn to not push away things automatically or hold on to things. When things are going well, we tend to want to do that as well, but to accept things as they are. All right, so moving on, this is a Sharon Salzberg quote. And this, I think, really says a lot about the habit of mindfulness and realizing that it's always right here. Often people think I don't have the right kind of mindfulness or the right level of concentration. Progress is not about levels, it's about frequency. If we can remember to be mindful, if we can add more moments of mindfulness, that makes all the difference. Countless times a day, we lose mindfulness and become lost in reaction or disconnected from what's happening. But the moment we recognize that we've lost mindfulness, we've already regained it. That recognition is its essence, and we can begin again. So it's this cartoon. I've shown this a few times, I think. We go on autopilot, and our minds are often like the man on the walk here, consumed with worries and challenges and fixing things and analyzing things and all the stuff that's on our minds, right? But the moment we recognize that we can just drop out of autopilot into awareness, into the present moment. And those everyday activities are a great way to do that. Or if you send yourself reminders, you might even just ask yourself, what am I aware of right now? And even just as I say that, what are you aware of right now? Looking around, listening, getting in touch with your surroundings. What are you aware of in this moment? That's all it really takes. So it's toggling back and forth. We get pulled into the autopilot. That's our default mode. And we go through the day doing on autopilot. The more often we can toggle back into present moment awareness, the more often we can do that, those moments will begin to resurface just automatically. Or, as Jack Kornfield says, we need to remember that where we are going is here. That any practice is simply a means to open our heart to what's in front of us. Where we already are is the path and the goal. So whatever practice you do, whether it's formal or informal, brings us to hear what's right in front of us and opening our heart to that. Okay? Not that difficult, right? It's a pretty simple concept in a way, but here's, I think, what happens. These quotes, we are not troubled by things, but by the opinions we have about things. That's that idea that if we could let go of the opinions in the moment, right, we could be more accepting of what's happening in the moment, whether it's positive or negative or neutral. And then Viktor Frankl, between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. So I just kind of want to remind you that this is kind of what can happen on autopilot. And this is what happens with the stress in our lives. It can just build up, right? And it become super burdensome and overwhelming. So every time we notice and are aware of what's going on in the present moment. Every time we, as Sharon Salzberg said, we just realize that, oh, okay, I'm here right now. I can be aware of that. We kind of take one of those little clouds off of this guy's shoulders here. And I hope that this, if anything, I hope that the class has helped a little bit with stress. And I'll mention, thank you for those of you who did the stress scale. I got back enough to make a comparison. And so the pre-scores versus the post scores on that perceived stress scales were 20% better after the class. So that's really a good thing. Now, the thing that I have not measured is, how about going forward? How about in the next 3 months or 6 months? So that's why that continuing to practice, I think, is so important, that it really can help us step back from stress. It can help us take the weight off our mind. It can help us not be so reactive and not get caught up in the stress story that's going on in the moment. And that's why, if you remember, we talked about noticing thoughts. We talked about being aware of thoughts that are helpful thoughts and thoughts that are unhelpful thoughts. We talked about difficult emotions and how they can sort of build up on us, and we get caught up in the narrative and the story we tell ourselves about emotions. That might be either one of those. There's a specific meditation on thoughts and one on emotions on that meditation page. So you might want to check into those as well as part of your practice. These, I think, are one of the areas where we really learn the most about ourselves, about those conditioned responses that we have, that default mode, that the thing that kicks in, when our buttons are pushed by the stress. And that the practices that we do on a regular basis, that helps us get a little bit of space from it so that we can step back from it and not be triggered by it. All right, so we have a couple of comments about those. I think it's very powerful to learn to just let thoughts pass instead of letting them affect you. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You just watch them float by instead of inspecting them and letting them affect you. Right, we tend to inspect them, right? I like that term. So yeah, that's a key learning from all this. So we can learn that our thoughts are really just mental events. They're triggers in some ways, and we get caught up in the storyline of some of them. We get swept away, and it pulls us into that ruminating place. I was feeling like the guy in the picture earlier today, but I didn't consider stop. Okay, so this is a good reminder. Practice still needed. I downloaded a recommended app and will practice. Good. This morning, I realized I cannot fix the broken, unhappy people around me. And I've learned so much about myself. Well, you're very welcome. And that's, I think, a huge insight and realization. The way to fix the people around you is to not fix yourselves, but to accept what's going on in the moment, to realize that we don't have control over those people, but we can control ourselves, and you can be a role model to them. Okay, so anyway, there's a lot here that we covered. I know in some ways it feels like we covered a lot in the class. So you might want to go back and watch some of the things. We do have these meditations on our EFR website. That's where and I'll show you, there's actually another link as well. But there's different ones on there too. And so you might want to try some different ones. I always find it's kind of fun to try very different ones. And that's why the apps, I think you'll get a really good taste of, from any one of these apps. But I know some of you have some other ones too. My colleague Vivian told me about an app called Shine, which is I believe it's a woman-owned, minority-owned app. Now there is a there's a free trial, but they do ask you to pay like 10% happier, but really good stuff on that app as well. So that's another one called Shine. And then podcasts are another good place to get motivated and inspired. So 10% Happier, Tara Brach has one. The Greater Good Action Center has a really good one. There's a bunch of them. You'll see them all, once you go to one. And then this YouTube link is where we have all the classes, where I've uploaded them all to. And there's a bunch of other stuff on there too. So that can give you a lot of options. And then the phone meditations, remember we do these on a regular basis. So we're doing gratitude theme this week, but we always, every week we do these Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon, Tuesday and Thursdays at 2. You just call in 10 minutes, great way to get, your practice in and then, move on. And it just helps to reset and refresh when you do that. So what I'd like to do is one more meditation with you. I've mentioned this one before, Choiceless Awareness Meditation, and the link there will take you to one if you want to listen with John Kabat-Zinn. The one I'm going to do for you today, though, is based on the book called The Little Book of Being, which is very good, by the way, by Diana Winston. And the subtitle is Practices and Guidance for Uncovering Your Natural Awareness. And so she has a practice called the Spectrum of Awareness practice. And you'll see we're going to move between 3 different types of awareness on the spectrum. So we'll move from focused awareness, focusing on the breath or the body, to flexible awareness, you'll see what that is, and then to natural awareness. So let's do this meditation. So as you find a comfortable posture and closing your eyes if you wish. This is a good thing. She also starts with, notice how you're doing in this moment. It's always a good place to start. Just check in with yourself and be curious about your body and mind. And take some breaths, and maybe take a couple of deeper breaths if that helps. Let the out breath be long and slow, letting it relax and release. And try to maintain an attitude of kindness as we do this, of settling into your own sense of being. It's right here for you in every moment, this human capacity to be aware. So starting with focused awareness, bring your attention to your meditation anchor, that which you always return to. If your anchor is your breath, receive your breath in your abdomen, chest, or nose, and just feel the sensations of breathing, rising and falling, expansion or contraction, coolness or tingling. One breath ends and the next breath begins. Or your anchor can be sounds. You can listen to the sounds come and go around you. Listen to them without getting lost in stories about the sounds. No need to analyze or reject a sound. Just listen. Or your anchor can be the sense of your body sitting, the feet on the floor, the body in the chair. That sense of groundedness. Being curious about what your body feels like, connected. And whenever your attention wanders, you can just notice it mentally say the word thinking or wandering, and then return your attention to your anchor. And keep returning every time you notice yourself lost in thought. Let all other objects, thoughts, emotions, sensations stay in the background. Focus on your anchor. Return when you get distracted. Just continue this way. Now, when a new object, such as an emotion or a sensation, becomes very obvious, calling out to you, let go of your anchor and turn your attention to whatever this new object is. Feel the emotion or sensation in your body. Notice what happens to it as you pay attention to it. Stay with this new aspect of experience until it no longer holds your attention, until it stops, or until something else grabs your attention. Can you notice the changing nature of the object that pulls you away? Ultimately, return to your anchor, to your breath, or your body, or the listening. Your attention has become more flexible. If you want to explore fully flexible awareness, you can try it now. Sensations, sounds, thoughts, and emotions may be coming and going in the background. Let go of your anchor and turn your attention to these background objects. Settle back and notice whatever is obvious to you as it arises and passes. No need to return to your anchor. There's a sensation, it increases. A sound pulls you. Then a memory. You feel your heart beating, and you take a breath. And then there's a sensation in your foot, and so on. Emotion arises. A sound grabs you. These are examples, but you can notice what pulls your attention. It might be very subtle. It might be more obvious. Just follow what is most obvious in your experience. As you transition into natural awareness, I invite you to relax your body and mind and rest. No need to try too hard. We are naturally aware. Your mind is aware without you doing anything. Can you sense and feel this awareness that's present right here all the time? Our minds are luminous, bright, and radiant like the sun. Can you sense that? Rest. Nothing to do. Let go of having to make any effort. Open your senses. Listen to the sounds around you. Let your hearing capacity extend as far as you can imagine. Now feel the back of your body on the chair or cushion in space. Unclench your belly and expand your awareness around your body. Move outward 360 degrees. Back, front, up, down. If you wish to open your eyes, you can expand your visual field. Keep your eyes soft, seeing out peripherally. Note if it's possible to hear, sense, and see in this expanded way. Can you feel your inner experience simultaneously embodied? Can you be external and internal all at the same time? Your mind is open, spacious, and limitless like the sky. Your thoughts are like clouds floating by, temporarily obscuring the sky-like nature of your mind. Marinate here for a while. You always have the present moment to return to. You always have your breath, your body. And then when you feel like it, relax into a more spacious knowing. You can notice thoughts dissolving into the vast field of awareness. Marinate in natural awareness for as long as you are drawn to. Whenever you are ready, you can finish the meditation session. You can open your eyes, gradually reconnect with the room around you, and we'll finish that spectrum of awareness. So the choiceless awareness is a little bit like that. And as you can see, you kind of move from kind of one focus to more flexible to more open and really spacious. So that might be something you might want to try going forward. Lots of things to keep doing, right? These were I sent them in after the last class, some suggestions from John Kabat-Zinn. But so just again, just ways to kind of keep your daily practice going. Takes a lot of practice, as he says, but you have lots of moments and we can treat each one as a new beginning. And that last point, remember the real meditation is your life and how you inhabit it. So finally, these are all the links. They all go to that meditation page, or at least most of them, I think, which we again have other ones too. So I will send the slides out so you have them. I hope you can join me on some of the ongoing refresher webinars or the phone meditations or whatever you find helpful. I hope you can keep it going. Just keep working at it. And that's really the point. Just keep it as a priority. Keep it going as best you can. And there's a couple of other things here I'll respond to once the recording is done and once we finish. But again, I want to thank you so much, especially during this week of gratitude, for allowing me to kind of lead you on your mindfulness journey. I really appreciate your time and attention, and I really feel like you've been able to make some headway in all this. And to be more mindful and to continue your practice as best you can. So thank you all very much for being with me on this journey. Really appreciate it.